On today's DNVR Broncos show, we're breaking down day 10 of training camp. Keep your hand there because we're the DNVR Broncos podcast. We're breaking down day 10 of training camp. Offense had some flashes, defense had some flashes, and let's dive into the Denver Broncos now. What a glorious Saturday it is here in Broncos Country. Randy Gradishar officially going in to the Hall of Fame. Throwback jerseys are available for purchase, and the Broncos celebrated them today out at practice. And it was a Saturday scrimmage. Kind of.
It was.
But pretty much a Saturday scrimmage. And Henry Chisholm and Zach Stevens are here to break it down with you on the DNVR Broncos podcast, driven by your local Toyota Front Range stores, where we are, of course, in the Toyota Lounge here inside the DNVR Bar. And we've got a little Serbia-Jokic game going on below us. So fun Saturday here at the bar. Fun Saturday out there at Broncos. Henry, is your Saturday just as good as I described?
Yes. I was a little disappointed by the scrimmage, though. I thought we were getting just a little bit more. They only had the one real move the ball period. I was hoping for at least like two of those, maybe even like an untimed one, just kind of see what happens. Or even like a red zone drill where, you know, you pick up 5 yards on first down, so that's 2nd and 5, you know, instead of just the scripted, we're running these plays from here.
So Sean said back in the day, that's what today would have been.
Yep.
For some reason now, present day, he just decided not to do that. He said, like, teams have gone away from that, but typically this Saturday is a big scrimmage Saturday, which we've seen scrimmages in past training camps. Not, like, full-on games, but, like, this is the day that they would go down to the stadium and do their scrimmage. But Broncos, Sean Payton decided to do, he didn't want to call it a scrimmage. He made that clear, but this was the most game-like practice we've seen. Coaches were no longer on the field. They were pulled off to the side. They did a red zone period. They did a 2-point conversion period. And then they did an end of game scenario. And we're going to break it all down. But let's first start by breaking it down through the eyes of the quarterbacks.
Yes.
And break down where quarterbacks are today. But then let's take a step back because we're halfway through camp and see where quarterbacks are. And then we've also got winners of the week. We've got roster bubble. We've got a jam-packed show. So without further ado, let's dive in. And let's start off with our Bo Nix grade. And I got to admit, today was a difficult day to grade all three quarterbacks. So I wouldn't be surprised if you and I are far off. But let's see where we are with our Bo Nix. Oh, my gosh. Look at this. It was difficult, and you and I are still right there with each other. I gave Bo a 6 out of 10. Henry gave Bo a 6.25 out of 10. If we've got anyone new today watching, this is not a grading system from grade school.
Yes.
This is 5 is average. So Henry and I both thought Bo was above average here. And Henry, let's dive in. There was a lot to get to with the quarterbacks. I mean, they ran tons of plays. That was one of the things Sean Payton wanted to do, was get to so many plays in practice today, and they certainly did that. So let's focus on the red zone period when we talk about the quarterbacks, and also the final move the ball period, because those, I think, are the two most important ones and where the most juice is. But we can also touch on other things. But Henry, let's dive into Bo's day.
Yeah, when you just look through, I mean, first period throw that stands out, 20-yarder to Lil Jordan Humphrey that converts a 3rd and 9. Yeah. That's pretty great. Just hit him in the middle of the field. You've seen a lot of Lil Jordan in the middle of the field, and specifically downfield, too. I think from like 10 yards to 15 yards to 20 yards. He's been kind of cooking right there, and Bo got him. You got second period drops, I guess, of the story. 17 yards to Lucas Kroll on the sideline. That was a good one, but drops in there. Kind of took away the best throws.
That one was caught.
That one was caught, yes.
Right.
That was the other notable play. Red zone, I mean, didn't go great for him. Sacked on the first play. Jonathan Cooper got him. once they get tighter, so they moved in from like the 20 to the 15 to the 7 to the 5 so he got closer and closer, and as he got closer, eventually hit Courtland Sutton as he rolled out of the pocket, hit Courtland on like the front pylon. It's a 3-yard touchdown on 3rd and goal. Wasn't much else in that period, honestly, like a sack, some short throws, but that was about it.
I love this play from Bo. Third and goal from the 3. And like you said, there was pressure in his face right away, so he takes off to the right, nearly sprinting to the right. Courtland comes free, and because it's the red zone, he throws the ball. You either throw the ball typically high for a jump ball or very low. Bo threw it low. Courtland was right there, kind of the front right pylon, like you said. He catches it low, comes up with the pass. I just love seeing Bo's athleticism and ability to make a play on the run there. So it was a great pass, and it was a great catch. And one of the things, you've already mentioned it, drops is a story of today, which we'll get into a little bit later. And also pressure. Pressure was all over all 3 of these quarterbacks.
No Zach Allen or Nick Bonito either.
That's not a good look for the Broncos offensive line. And when it came to that play, pressure was there, and I love the way that Bo Nix handled the pressure, just sprinting away right away.
Red zone's where the athleticism showed up. Next up, he had a 2-point conversion. Didn't work. There was pressure. Lucas Kroll did not block. He decided to go run a route, and he got an earful for that.
Oh, my goodness. Mike McGlinchey was not happy with Lucas Kroll one bit. Like, maybe the most mad I've seen a player at another player this camp.
Other than when Darrell and Chami and Nate Atkins were throwing punches at each other. There was one punch.
The most non-physical upset I've seen.
Yeah. Court talk to Lucas in a little bit more friendly tone, which is probably helpful.
Lucas is like, no, this is red zone. I want a touchdown. I don't want to stay in and block.
Yeah. He made a mistake there. And then we get to the final period, though. This was the good stuff.
This was the good stuff.
So, gotta set the scene here.
Yep.
All 3 quarterbacks got the ball at the plus 44, so 44 yards to the end zone. 53 seconds on the clock. First down. You have 1 timeout. Defense also had a timeout, and you're down 6. So you have 53 seconds to go 44 yards. Have to get a touchdown.
Yep, field goal does nothing for you here.
First down. Bo drops back.
Oh, Bo. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Bo drops back and fires a perfect ball. Lil Jordan Humphrey. About 20 yards downfield, maybe a little more. Room to run. He had a step on Chris Abrams' drain on this deep crossing route.
Keep
is what
telling
I had
me
it.
More, Henry.
Just beautiful. Like hit him in both hands, just perfectly placed on the run. He dropped it.
No, don't tell me more.
Yeah, so instead of going from going all the way up to what? That would be the 20 at worst.
Yeah.
He was off and running from that point too.
And he's big Jordan Humphrey, so maybe he breaks the tackle in the secondary
can't practice, but you would start dreaming.
Yeah,
but he dropped that one. So now all of a sudden it's 2nd and 10 with 47 seconds left. And they throw a screen to Jaleel. It works. Gets a 3rd and 2.
Yep.
2 chances to go get it.
Good, love
First one, you get Nate Atkins wide open. A couple steps past the sticks. He's just on a little curl route. Peeked upfield a bit too early, dropped the ball, bounced off his chest. All of a sudden, it's 4th and 2.
So really, though, Bo should have 2 first downs here.
Oh, yeah.
Already.
2 great throws.
Instead, he's at 4th and 2.
Yep. And then on 4th and 2, something horrible happened over there. I can hear it. 4th and 2, 25 seconds left. They've still got 36 yards to go.
Yep.
Hits Lil Jordan on a slant.
Let's go.
Chris Abrams' drain gets a hand in. Breaks it up.
No!
Then that's it for Bo Nix's day.
Oh, no!
Yep.
And Bo should just be pissed off at his receivers here. Now, if he were to talk at the podium, you take the blame, but behind the scenes, like, what more could have Bo done there? Like, brutal. Brutal, absolutely brutal by his receivers there. Should have been 4 for 4. Actually, just should have been 1 for 1 to start and then had a first down at the 20.
Or, the 15 maybe.
Yeah, so Bo Nix doesn't end up even getting a first down there, but not his fault. So this is why it was a little difficult to grade, is like, if his receivers just would have done their job and caught passes, it's not crazy to say that Bo would have had 1st and 10 from the 20 with 45 seconds left and a timeout because little Jordan Humphrey could have easily gone out of bounds. And I like his chances there. That would have favored the offense there in that scenario. Instead, his receivers drop passes. He doesn't get in. But if his receivers catch those passes, Henry, we could be talking about Bo's best day potentially, or arguably one of his best days there. And we might be saying how he ran away with the competition today. Instead, you do have receivers drop balls. We'll get into Jarrett Stidham, Zach Wilson. They also weren't benefited by their receivers either. But still, overall, a good day for Bo.
Yep. Stidham?
Let's hit Stidham. Let's get into Jarrett Stidham scores. Curious where you go here, because I thought Jarrett Stidham was completely average today, 5 out of 10. You thought he was a little bit below average, 4.25 out of 10. Let's dive in. Why, Hank?
Yeah. Again, it's very Jarrett Stidham-y day, I think is where you start.
Stidham.
Little curl Jordan. Almost had
Lil curl to Lil Jordan for a Lil gain.
Yep. 3rd and 7. This is the first team period. He threw a deep ball to Marvin Mims. Mims almost was able to get his hands on it, laid out. It kind of bobbled off the fingertips a couple times. For a second, kind of looked like he was going to get it. Didn't get it.
Could have been a catch, but I don't fully blame Marvin.
No.
I mean, it could have been a better pass too, but like
would have been the catch of camp.
Caught it. Yeah, probably.
Probably would have been the catch of camp. You take 6 inches off that ball though, and all of a sudden it's not right here; it's right here.
Yeah,
that's a catch. Let's see. Next team period, you've got short pass to Beatty, ball that bounced off Brandon Johnson's chest, almost got picked off because it went straight up in the air.
Got to use your hands there, Brandon. You can't use your chest to catch a pass. That one easily could have been picked off, and it would have been zero fault of Jarrett Stidham.
Yep. This was a tougher one to grade. 3rd and 3, sack from number 97, Malcolm Roach. But then after the sack, Stidham threw a bomb to Troy Franklin.
Yeah.
That was just beautiful. In stride, over the shoulder, up the sideline, and then went right through Troy's hands. This is probably the second worst drop from Troy in camp. There was that one that was right here on a comeback route, but he's had a couple deep balls he didn't get either.
Also, was it yesterday that he had one that went right through his hands in the end zone too?
And somebody sent me the clip. I did not say that he, what was the debate? I said he almost caught it, went through his hands, not almost went through.
Wait. Say that again? I just was saying that you said the word almost.
It went through his hands. That's what I said. Not it almost went through his hands.
You said almost somewhere.
I did. I said he almost caught it.
Oh,
it went through his hands.
Okay. So
also,
almost was there.
Another callback. The Nebraska game, Colorado, Nebraska, in Lincoln, September 6th. 82 degrees on average. The Tampa game later in the month, on average 88 degrees. Florida, hotter than Nebraska.
We'll see this year. I was going off 2024 and current wind configurations, Hank.
Also, we like runs on 7-on-7, apparently.
You really like to prove me wrong.
And then we have...
Look at that smile. Biggest smile I've seen.
Again, these throws... Again, the red zone drills. First throw. Lucas Kroll at the line of scrimmage. Guy right there, no gain. And you get a swing pass to Jaleel. Tackle for loss from Reese Taylor. Remember that name. He's not having a Jaquan McMillan type camp from last year, but he's not far off. That was for a 3-yard loss, tackle for loss. You got Lucas Kroll, middle of the end zone, out route. Good coverage from Devin Key.
It was.
Who prevented the incompletion. Didn't break it up, prevented it. Wound up hitting Michael Bandy on a slant for a touchdown after rolling out of the pocket. He was, it was a hold before that.
Yeah.
It was Frank Crum holding Thomas Incoom on that one.
And that was on that play, so it would have been called back. But they continued the play, and Stidham made a nice play. But we're likely looking at 3rd and goal from the 13 instead of a Michael Bandy touchdown. Yep.
So, again, not much there. Then we get into the situation. Remember, 44-yard line, 53 seconds to go. He scrambles, or it's a sack. It's kind of tough to tell. I guess they called it a 2nd and 8, so they gave him the 2-yard scramble, kept the clock going, I believe, right?
No, I have the 2nd and 12.
Oh, you do have 2nd and 12?
Yeah, it was a sack.
Okay, so they did call it a sack.
Yeah.
You've got Abalda, Sutton, middle of the field. PJ Locke flies in, breaks it up.
Yep.
Love to see that. You also kind of hate to see it because that's how camp works.
Wait, I had a sack on first down and on third down.
I had first and third. That was second.
Okay, yep.
And then third was Thomas Incoom again.
Yep.
He's really good at football.
Yeah.
Then on 4th and 13, they're kind of in trouble again. Only 23 seconds left somehow already. Started with 53, remember. Garrett Bowles starts.
Oh, no. 4th and 8. They're going the wrong way. They're not supposed to go beep, beep.
And so then you're 4th and 18. You're still at 23 seconds.
You're
totally screwed.
Yep.
Except that Marvin Mims beat Jaquan and McMillan a little in-breaking route. And what do I have for the game? They got to the 29.
It was a 23-yard completion.
So 23-yard completion. Yep. Run up there, spike the ball. 7 seconds left.
Okay, 2nd and 10 from the 29.
Yep. 1 timeout left, so you can kind of get it in bounds. They decide to go deep, and Damari Mathis breaks up a post to Josh Reynolds.
Yeah, I really hated that. I mean, 7 seconds is like, you just love to run a 6-second play to at least have 2 shots to the end zone. Just developed a little bit too long. Obviously, I'm not putting that on Bo. I mean, it's a bad situation anyway. Oh, yes, on Jarrett. It's a bad situation anyway, but man, I would love to see at least 2 shots to the end zone there.
See, and that's the thing is, I don't know. You're in between because like if it's 9 seconds instead of 7 seconds, you throw 2 to the end zone probably.
Right.
7 seconds, I don't think is enough time to do that because, I mean, they didn't quite get it to the end zone, but they kind of tried.
Right.
And they didn't have time for another play.
Yeah.
So it does feel like you need a short gain, whatever, like a draw, a scramble, a screen, a slant because they're all sitting back, and just pick up like another 5-10 yards, make the next one easier.
That's fair. I would have been okay with that too.
But maybe they thought they would have time for 2 deeper balls, but they did not.
Yeah, I guess.
And it was a play designed to go deep. Like there weren't underneath options.
And what I hated about that was it looks like it was going to be caught at like the 3-yard line if it was caught. Oh my gosh, can you talk about heartbreaking? That would have been like Rams Patriots Super Bowl back in 99 where it's like the hopes are up and then you just fall 2 yards short.
The play Jalen Virgil tore his ACL on last year in the preseason.
Yep.
That deep ball, and then you wind up at the 1 and the clock runs out.
Yep, exactly. Yep. That's very true. The clock definitely would have run out there. But really quick with this, man, the entire offense, you cannot be 1st and 10 from the 44 and then be looking at 4th and 18 from the opposite 48. That is criminal. You just cannot do that. And one of the things Sean Payton said today, which I think is something we need to keep in mind when we're evaluating these quarterbacks, especially in games when they come around, he said that he puts more of the sacks on the quarterbacks than the offensive line.
Yeah.
So Jarrett Stidham in that first 4 plays starts with 2 sacks. Again, there's situations where sometimes it isn't on the quarterback, but Stidham has been really good at not taking sacks so far this camp. This is my biggest ding on him today is those 4 plays. Again, the false start's not on him, but you cannot get... Even if the offensive line gets beat badly, you got to find a way to get the ball out or to... You just can't take a sack in this situation.
And the tough part is it's not a game situation, so maybe he thinks he could have gotten,
But
like,
they wanted it to be a game situation, though.
True. But, like, until you're actually getting tackled to the ground, it's tough to say what's a sack and what's not. Because, like, there have been, Bo in particular, there's, like, one rep a couple days ago where there's, like, a 3rd-string edge rusher who, I mean, to their credit, have been incredible so far, just flying at him, and Bo just take, like, the quick step up. And you're like, that's probably a sack, but you kind of wonder if maybe it would have worked. But that's the thing is we're rounding all the sacks.
Yeah.
So I almost think that, honestly, it's Bo in particular might be better at avoiding sacks than we give credit for in all these.
I think that's fair. I think that's very fair.
Yeah.
So that was Jarrett Stidham's day. And let's dive into Zach Wilson's day, then kind of take a step back and look at the forest and see where everyone is after looking at 10 days of trees, Henry. And let's do that after I tell you about our friends over at Red Hawk Roofing. We're over at Red Hawk Roofing. They've got the best quality materials. They have Colorado's quickest response time. They've got Colorado's best estimators and contractors. They're huge DNVR supporters and free no-obligation roof and property inspections. They've also got free in-depth photo reports for all of your inspections, and hail season is here, so don't wait to take care of any issues before more big storms come. You can't always see how bad the damage is from your roof from the ground, so make sure to give our friends over at Red Hawk Roofing a call at 720-771-8921, and make sure to tell them the DNVR sent you. Support local businesses just like you support your local teams and you support us over at DNVR. So check them out at redhawkroofing.com or at 720-771-8921 and tell them that DNVR sent you.
And we've got a pretty cool event coming up in town. August 23rd to 25th, Glendale, Colorado will be the epicenter of rugby.
Ooh.
We know that Glendale is rugby town, and they've got a whole bunch of cool things happening. That's where the U.S. national team trains. It's where Colorado's only professional rugby team, the American Raptors, play. And you can actually watch them all on ESPN Plus and follow along with DNVR Rugby, which you should also do. But like I said, end of this month, you can experience the unparalleled excitement of the 2024 Rugby Town Sevens tournament, the ultimate rugby event of the year, with 62 thrilling matches spread over the three action-packed days. Not the sun messes with your eyes.
Yeah, it's true. That's why you have to have Shady Rays out there.
I do, but then I wind up with like these. Also, just looking, it looks like I might have a little sunburn in the corner. I saw that. That's not good.
You didn't sunburn the corner of your head?
No, I did because I didn't sunscreen.
Did. Because what?
You said sunburn.
Oh, you're right.
Okay,
yeah,
we can move along to Rugby Town. Like I said, 62 matches, 3 days, August 23rd to 25th in Glendale. Don't miss that event. It's going to be awesome. They're top-tier teams, and they're unforgettable moments. Tickets are available now. Visit rugbytownusa.com for more information. Gather your friends and family and join us for a weekend of spectacular rugby action. We'll see you there.
Let's gather our friends and family, Henry, and tell you about Zach Wilson's day. Very curious where you went with Zach's grade here. You went with the 4.75. I went with the 5.5. I thought this was Zach's best day in a while, but we're kind of still in the same ballpark. Let's take people through Z Willie's day.
Yeah. Well, you also had the 5 for Stidham, and I had the 4.25, so we had the difference the same.
Yep.
Yeah. So, starting from the top, first period.
Let's start from the bottom.
Start from the bottom?
Now we're here.
Okay.
No, let's start from the top.
Yeah, that's way easier.
It was a song. It was a cultural reference, Henry, that you didn't get.
No, I actually did.
Oh, you
I hate
did.
That guy.
You just hated it. Oh, you hate him.
Oh, of course.
Who is it?
Drake.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't.
How do you not know that? Okay, first throw. Zach Wilson at this point has nothing to lose because he's already lost the quarterback competition. So why not just really chuck one deep to Troy Franklin?
I love the mentality.
It doesn't matter if there are 2 defenders there, in part because Troy was able to get past him. Tight window, though, because you got to drop it right in the right spot. He did not do that. Left it a little bit too far out in front for him.
Henry, what's up with these quarterbacks overthrowing Troy Franklin? I thought Troy Franklin was the guy you couldn't overthrow, and every quarterback has done that.
Well, the one thing that I've noticed is I think with Bo, there definitely been more overthrows than underthrows.
Yeah.
But I would say almost every one of his misses is because he's aired toward safety.
Yeah.
So like if the defender's deep, he'll miss short, but more often the defender's short, so he misses a little bit deep. And it's just not risking putting it in harm's way, but it's also the reason why you're not hitting on more of those probably.
Right.
It reminds me of like a pitcher who it's like you're a little bit scared of the hitter, and so you throw the fastball, but instead of aiming like right on the inside edge of the plate, you aim just like a little bit inside that, a little bit off the plate, and that way if you miss, it'll like squeak in for a strike, and he still might swing. But when you look at things that conservatively, it means that if you're as talented as these guys are, as NFL quarterbacks, you wind up just missing things by like 6 inches every time, and you miss all these big plays. But so Zach Wilson missed that big one. From there, I mean, converted 3rd and 5 to Little Jordan Humphrey. We like to see that. Converted a 3rd and 8 to Thomas Yasmin in the flat, picked up 10 yards. He wound up, somebody fell on him during camp, and during practice, and he kind of limped up. So I didn't see if he left all the way, but then also somebody else went to the locker room.
That was Levi Wallace.
That's right.
Who has a hamstring injury, and Sean Payton did not know the extent, which is a little scary there, especially since Levi's been pretty damn solid for you.
He has. He definitely has. And then the throw that really tanked his grade for me, and I can't get out of my head, is that he tried to throw a screen, believed to Brandon Johnson, and just spiked the ball. Just threw it right at his feet, incomplete.
Yeah, that was bad.
And that's somehow the thing that Zach Wilson is worst at is hitting a receiver in the flat, hitting running back out there, hitting a little bubble screen, and that is such an easy throw, but he just bounces it to the guy who's throwing it to. Not half the time, 20% of the time, maybe even a little bit less than that. But we've seen it a couple times, and he's done it plenty of times in the past few years. It drives me insane, and I don't know how you missed that throw.
Well, it kind of reminds me, when you were going over that and explaining that, it reminds me of Paxton Lynch, his rookie season. No, seriously. Yeah. I'm not trying to compare the two, although there might be some similarity. But Paxton was asked, what's the hardest throw for you to make? What's like the most difficult throw for you to make? And he said like a 5-yard slant, and it was like, Wait, what?
Yeah.
Isn't that like the easiest pass to make? And it kind of reminds me in that way with Zach is like, well, we haven't really seen him hit on the deep balls, but we know he likes the deep balls. But yeah, you're right. The shorter ones are more difficult for him.
Somehow. And it's not, it's behind the line of scrimmage. Like, it's just wide open, nothing there. And he even took like this weird step. Like, he gets the snap and then he almost like jumps into position to make the throw. And you're like, I don't know what is happening here,
right.
But this
Too
whole
much.
thing is just like kind of funny, honestly. From there, gets sacked by Dondre Tillman, who's having a good camp. Gets sacked by Jalen Allen, who's also having a good camp. All the edge rushers are for the most part.
It's true.
And then after the sack, he tries like a deep ball to Dulcich, and Omar Brown dives and breaks it up. Safety from Nebraska.
Yeah, it was a really good play by Bolden.
Yes, it was.
Then red zone. Brown, yes. Omar Bolden, former
Somebody
Bronco.
else. Yes.
Friend of the show.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you were there.
I was there.
Yeah,
I wasn't on
geez.
set for that part. I was recovering. I had just been tackled.
Yeah. Oh, that's very true.
Yeah. Yes. Red zone steps up. Looks actually pretty great on the first red zone snap. Like, all the pressure's coming, steps up, so poised.
Yep, loved it.
Missed the receiver short. Kind of like lobbed the ball.
Loved the incompletion.
Very strange.
It was a very nice looking incompletion, though.
After the footwork from the previous one, I was like, oh, this is... Somebody told him something that worked.
Yep.
But then he missed the throw. Swing pass to Blake Watson. Went nowhere. Yeah.
He caught it, though.
He caught
Notable.
it. Yes, caught it. And he also looked kind of shit. Like, you kind of saw a little bit. Because Blake Watson's whole thing is that, like... It's honestly like Kamara-y, where guys will look like they have him tackled and somehow like he just turns his shoulders and then he just slips right off.
Yeah.
And you saw some of that shiftiness today, which is fun. But without people actually trying to tackle you, who knows if any of it worked. Great touchdown, mostly by Brandon Johnson.
Yeah.
I believe that was also Omar Brown in coverage, back of the end zone from about 5 yards out. Brandon Johnson, like I said, back at the end zone. Omar Brown back turned to the quarterback, and Brandon kind of reaches over him while jumping and plucks it and grabs it.
It was a great catch. Great catch.
Almost like being mossed. I think the details are...
It was like a low moss. It was like a back moss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A back moss.
A back moss. Something you don't want. And if you do, go to your doctor.
And then 3rd and goal from the 43, Keedron Smith. Almost jumps up and breaks off a pass for the new tight end.
Yep.
Hunter Campmoyer.
Yeah.
Ooh, these are some tough names to
Yeah,
remember.
it's true.
But he doesn't get it. But Hunter is kind of distracted by the swing and the ball bounces off his hands.
Yep.
And so
Yep.
there was no touchdown on that one.
Almost
and then,
2 touchdowns for
he
him,
didn't
but
even get
just
to throw.
ended with 1.
Yep. Didn't even get to try a throw on the 2-point conversion. That was a run.
Yep. And now we're looking at that move the ball at the end of the practice. 53 seconds.
Yep.
Ball on the 44-yard line. Down 6. Need a touchdown. Have 1 timeout. And the very first play of this period for Zach was a throwaway.
Elijah Garcia up the middle, and he throws it away.
But I do like that Zach threw it away because Zach sometimes does hold on to the ball for way too long. And that's maybe the most, not disappointing, but maybe the thing that's knocked him the most in my grading so far through the first 10 practices, just get rid of the ball, Zach. Throw the ball. And he did it there. So I was pleased to see that, but it doesn't get you anywhere. So it's 2nd and 10 from the 44, and this is where he started to move the ball.
And picks up 16 yards over the middle to Philip Dorsett. Darrell Chami around the edge. Darrell almost got there. 1st and 10, clock's running. You have the ball batted. I couldn't tell who, either Jalen Allen or Elijah Garcia.
Wait. You sold him short a little bit. You said You said 16-yard gain.
31
the
yards.
pass was to number 16, Troy Franklin. And it went for 31 yards.
And it wasn't to Philip Dorsett. It was 16 up the middle to
it was
the 13-yard line.
Yes,
Not
I see how
16
things.
yards to the middle. Yep, there we go.
So the biggest play that we saw in this move the ball period was Zach Wilson hitting Troy Franklin. Like to see a positive moment from both of those guys. And then, like you said, they run up, spike the ball, and now Zach Wilson is in a pretty looking spot because there's only 21 seconds left. But 2nd and 10 right after that spike, and I believe they still do have a timeout too. So 21 seconds, you're at the 13-yard line, and you have 3 downs to get in the end zone. Let's go.
Yeah, and so then what they decided to do was not block Andre Smith, who was rushing the left side, blitzing veteran linebacker, who I don't know if we've talked about at all yet.
No.
And Zach Wilson throws the ball away again. So now it's 16 seconds, 3rd and 10 from the 13. More pressure, tries to get the ball to Tyler Beatty, who I actually thought was behind him.
Oh, geez.
And I thought it might have been, the refs were there. Refs said it was a forward pass that was incomplete. And now you've got 13 seconds at the 13-yard line, 4th and 10. And he tries for Jalen Virgil at the goal line, but Art Green's in good coverage, forces a tight window, and it's incomplete.
Man, Zach had something going for him. He was putting a good name to our name, and then it just like totally fizzled out. But Henry, that one pass, with having a okay day the rest of the day, the fact that he made it further and moved the ball, maybe I gave him a little too much credit for that, but he made it to the 13-yard line, gave the Broncos a legitimate chance to win the Broncos offense. I mean, you have 4 plays from the 13-yard line. That probably favors the offense in that point, where at no point for Bo Nix, not his fault, a lot of drops, but still it was a situation he was in, and Jarrett Stidham, were they in a position where it actually favored the offense. But Zach got them in that position. So that's why I thought overall he won that period if we're going the 3 quarterbacks. But overall the day, I give it to Bo. But that's why I just thought maybe a little above average from Zach, because in the most important period, he did the most of the 3 quarterbacks.
He did. And that's good. I also will never forget that throw. Just like I won't forget remember the warm-ups a week ago, 2 weeks ago? Every day runs together, did the exact same thing.
Yeah.
I remember going through and watching like 6 of his games last year when they traded for him, being like, holy cow, how is this an issue?
It's true.
Like, that's...
The easy stuff is hard.
It is. And credit to him for hitting that big play. Same thing with Stidham. But there were just enough disappointing plays from both of them that the grades were kind of low for me.
That's totally fair. And I mean, my grades weren't like that much higher than yours. So we were still in lockstep again. And Henry, let's take a step back and look at where things stand halfway through training camp. And before we do that, I got to give a shout out to our friends over at Volo Sports. Henry, it's the summer, but today might be a day where you're going bowling over at Volo because it's toasty out. Or if you like the heat, it's a perfect day to get outside and play so many different games and sports that they have over at Volo Sports. And the great thing about Volo, it's already affordable and well worth the money, but they're going to give our listeners $10 off a month. So it's half price for the first 3 months. It's only cost you $10 a month to use the Volo app using the code DNVR3. That's DNVR and the number 3 when you sign up to get Volo for only $10 a month. It allows unlimited access to pickups and league drop-ins as a sub. Includes league discounts up to $50, free or discounted access to tournaments, fitness classes, and events. And you can travel with the Volo Pass. All perks accessible in any Volo city, which is awesome. And it's also a great way to meet people, get active, and play games in the city. They're all over town as well. I mean, you'll see Volo shirts everywhere you go. So if you want to get involved and meet friends, be outside, be active, play some fun games, Volo is the place for you. Use that code DNVR3 over at Volo Pass for $10 off per month for the first 3 months.
Also, check out our friends over at Brackenridge Distillery, whom I'd love to tell you all about.
Brackenridge. Henry, tell me all about it.
Oh, boy. I mean, first of all, what do you even say? Their bourbon whiskey is the official bourbon and vodka of the Denver Broncos. I would imagine there's a separate vodka. Look for their 2024 Broncos bourbon blends to hit the shelves starting the week of August 12th, so 9 days from now. So that Monday, I guess, would be the start of the week. And they'll be all across Colorado, like I said. So they're actually the world's highest distillery because they're in Breckenridge. They're founded in 2008, widely known for the blended bourbon whiskey, high rye mash, American-style whiskey. Our Breckenridge bourbon is one of the most highly awarded craft bourbons in the U.S. It's more than just award-winning spirits. They offer an immersive guest experience. You can eat at their award-winning restaurant. You can enjoy their show-stopping cocktails, learn about their highly awarded spirits with an in-depth tasting, and get an inside look at their active production facility. It's pretty cool if you get a chance to go up there, and you can also enter to win 2 tickets to the to Denver Broncos games in the Breckenridge Bourbon Whiskey Suite, which we toured, and it is awesome.
It is dope.
Also tried the bourbon, also awesome. And you can share how you celebrate the Broncos by posting your photos to social media using hashtag Breckenridge or Broncos Bourbon. Also use code DNVR at checkout for free shipping on all orders over $99. Learn more at BreckenridgeDistillery.com.
We got so many people rocking and rolling with us today. Hit us with a thumbs up. Really appreciate it. It shows us the support, helps us out. And also, we're working on a weekend right now, so we appreciate the extra thumbs up that y'all throw our way. And again, we really appreciate everyone rocking and rolling with us in the Toyota chat. Before we get to a big score, let's just hand out our podium graphic for today,
yes.
where Bo Nix, 4 straight days, taking home the gold. Zach Wilson coming in silver. Jarrett Stidham, the bronze. Let's see the updated standings, where things stand right now as well. And look at this. We've got a tie midway through training camp. Bo Nix and Jarrett Stidham dead even in this quarterback battle. And Henry, let's also hit the winner of the week when it comes to this quarterback battle. Last week it was Jarrett Stidham. This week, the winner of the week is Bo Nix. And Henry, this is everything that Sean Payton and Broncos Country could have hoped for. It's okay. Bo Nix started a little slow last week. Jarrett Stidham got the early lead on him. But Bo Nix is trending up, and we've seen pretty much continued growth day in and day out. He has won 4 days this week out of 6 practices. I have been incredibly impressed, and I think that Sean Payton is already starting to make a maneuver for him to be the starting quarterback. And what I mean by that is the way the quarterback rotation goes. Today should have been Jarrett Stidham's day, and it started off as Jarrett Stidham's day, but it did not stay Jarrett Stidham's day. We saw Bo mix in and get some of those reps that we thought Stidham was going to get all of today. Bo was getting those. And then Jarrett still got some 1 reps at the end of practice too. But I think we're starting to see that move of, okay, man, the kid's looking really good. And we got to continue his progress and continue to get him as many 1 reps as possible. And so I think that he is now taking the lead in my eyes. As a group, we think he's tied with Jarrett Stidham, and I think that Sean realizes he's my week 1 starter right now. So I think we're going to continue to see this trend happen where Bo just continues to get more and more of the reps, even before they name a starter. But I think halfway through camp, it is without a doubt Bo Nix's job to lose now. I would put it at 90% Bo Nix being the starter week 1, Jarrett Stidham 10%, and that's it.
I don't read anything into them splitting today. I think that because it's a scrimmage, you have to give them both first-team reps. It's kind of what I expected. But so I think that they'll go back to the normal rotation, and this was just kind of like a... It's not really... It doesn't fit the format of the other practices. So I think that it was just splitting the first-team reps because scrimmage day. Like, you give them both, like, the equal opportunities on, like, this outlier day. But I do agree that I think Bo Nix has a pretty big lead at this point, mostly because while the other 2 guys kind of keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, Bo has gotten better. In the notes I wrote yesterday, so I've been doing, like, letter grades for my notes every day at the website, which you guys should go read. But yesterday I figured since we were 9 days in, I would, just for the fun of it, see what happened if you threw out the first 3 days, because there were no pads, whatever. And if you throw out the first 3 days, then all of a sudden Bo jumps from a C+ average to a B average. And then also you just look at the 3 most recent days, and all of a sudden he jumps up to an A- average. And so what I've got is the C+ to the B to the A-, whereas Stidham, it's B- to B to B-. Wilson, it's C. And so I think those guys have kind of just been the same guy all the way through, while you've seen some growth from Bo. And so while it may, I think overall I might have Stidham still having more good days or beating Bo out more days than not. like this past 4 days or so, I don't know how you could look at these three quarterbacks and say anything other than Bo looks the best.
And the fact that Bo looks the best right now and he's trending up in the right direction, that's why I have it such a stronghold for Bo to be the week 1 starter. Is it 90%? Where would you put it, Henry?
Yeah, somewhere around there. I mean, it's just tough because you have to think about, like, well, knock on wood, but like injuries or those sorts of things. But barring an injury or barring just disaster in the preseason games, which means, like, I don't know, you expect him to probably play in all 3. Maybe he throws 3 interceptions over the course of that time. All of a sudden, Stidham might be back in it.
That's fair.
Barring like something crazy, it should be Bo.
How many picks have we seen through Bo in the first 10 practices?
1.
Unless
you count the one-on-ones.
No, we're not counting one-on-ones. Those aren't real football. That tells me he is not going to go out and throw multiple interceptions.
You wouldn't think so.
3 interceptions in 3 games. You wouldn't think so. But I see why you're throwing that out there. But I don't think you need to with Bo. I think he makes such good decisions. And I think that unlike what James was saying yesterday, especially after today, I don't think it would be crazy for Sean to come out and name Bo Nix a starter. Now, I do not expect that to happen. He's not going to do that on Monday. But I would have seen enough where if he were to do that on Monday, Henry, I think the locker room will get behind it. And I think the fans will get behind it. And I would say, I do think Bo earned that, especially you do take into account he's a first-round pick. Like, he's already on this pedestal. He doesn't have to do that much to earn it, but he has done enough this week, in my opinion, to earn it. Again, it's not going to happen this week. They're still going to be rotating the quarterbacks this next coming week, but I do think that Bo Nix is going to absolutely be the Broncos starting quarterback. All right, Henry, should we talk about some other things from practice today before we get into our bubble?
Yes.
Who else stood out to you from a non-quarterback perspective? Drops. Let's just start there.
Yep, a lot of drops.
I mean, we talked about it, but the drops, I think every quarterback was hindered by them many times. Obviously, Bo was probably hindered by them the most because it happened in the most important period, and 3 balls were dropped that would have been first downs to keep the chains moving. But, I mean, the drops happen with everyone. In fact, I think Bo, Jarrett, and Zach all had passes that were dropped by the receiver that were almost picked off because the receiver didn't just drop them, but the receiver popped the ball in the air. If you're going to drop a ball, let it hit the ground right after it hits your hands. Do not let it go up in the air. So not the best day for receivers.
Yes. Great day for Tremon Smith. Did some kickoff drills. Not only did he have the longest return of any returner, he also had like a great tackle inside the 20. Tanner McAllister had a good one too, but that's where he shines. Audric Estime had a really good day. He
continues to
looks fast. There's one play in particular. There's like a toss out to the left side. He's about 3 yards downfield. There's a defender kind of run alongside him. He's about to try to make the tackle. Audric puts his arm out. And again, we don't get to see what happens because you can't actually try to tackle him to the ground. But you watch it and you think, like, if Audric breaks that tackle, which is kind of his thing, all of a sudden this turns into a big gain. So there's things like that. There's another one where, it might have even been the same one, but it's that same sideline at least. End of the run, he runs into Thomas Incoom, kind of throws him to the ground. Thomas gets up and gets in his face. Luckily, is held back by somebody on the sideline.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we would have... No, it was Chami who got in the first fight. So it would have been both of those awesome second-year edge rushers. But no, so good day from Estime again.
Yeah, really good day from Estime. We also got to see Jaleel Speed out on the sideline a couple of times. So this running back room needs to be good, and they are looking good, which is encouraging.
Yep. Malcolm Roach getting in there. I mean, all these, we mentioned a lot of them, but Chami, Incoom, Jalen Allen, even the Dondre Tillman, everybody was getting sacks today, as they have every single day. Over and over and over again. And again, that means that you're seeing the undrafted tackles struggle a little bit. That is what it is. Another one, Jaquan McMillan gets called for pass interference. He got called for a couple penalties, one in the one-on-ones a couple days ago. So ever since the refs come, 3 practices with the refs?
Yep.
3 penalties on Jaquan McMillan.
Oof.
Maybe a dozen total penalties in that time.
Yeah.
15 max. So, I don't know. A little grabby so far. Maybe something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, but overall, Jaquan I love what he brings to this defense because not only a great nickel cornerback, but as he told us after practice today, Vance Joseph's attack defense, one of the big things with that is bringing Jaquan on blitzes left and right. He said he had never had a sack before last year. He got a sack last year. Got a couple of sacks last year, actually. And expect him to be that physical nickel corner, not just a good coverage corner.
Well, the reason he didn't get sacks in college is because he was only a boundary cornerback.
There you go. Yeah, which makes it tough.
Exactly. And so now you start thinking, like, could he work back out there? I mentioned Andre Smith earlier has the sack blitzing from the linebacker spot. Cody Barton also did. Alex Singleton also did. You have all these inside linebackers penetrating, which is what you want to see.
Yep, exactly. My final note on today is after practice, Sean Payton just spoke very highly of Bo Nix again. That's another reason why I think we're going to see him named the starter eventually. He said Sean Payton likes the way Bo Nix plays in high-pressure situation, pointing to Bo's ability to not take sacks, move around in the pocket, make plays on the move. Said Drew Brees was a really hard quarterback to sack and believes Bo Nix has that characteristic to his game. Sean's getting more and more comfortable giving praise to just Bo as this goes along, which is really good news for Bo. And we talk about quarterbacks a lot, but Henry, your specialty is everything.
Yes.
But your real specialty, back of the roster, Hank. And you are doing an awesome job of giving us all of the details through practice over at the DNVR.com, but then also breaking down where the bubble stands with the Broncos roster. Who is on the bubble? Who's going to Mile High Stadium? Who's on their way back home? 1/2 of the way through training camp. Henry, let's get to the last 3 in, the first 3 out, and your next 3 out of the 53-man roster right now.
So, first of all, I'm going to say, I before the season, I did a 53-man roster prediction before camp. The next one's going to be out tomorrow, and then after that, I'm thinking I'll do one after all the preseason games, like after the final preseason.
Love it, right before cut down.
Exactly. So that's the current plan. So if you want to see all the details, who's on the roster, who's not, be ready tomorrow. Last 3 in, last 3 guys to make the roster. I've got Samaje, Darrell Chami, Devon Vele, and you know, it's really tough because you're searching for roster spots. There's a whole bunch of different things that I've done from the first one. You know, Zach Wilson, for example. I think he's a practice squad guy at this point.
So he's not even in the top 6 out.
No, because I just don't think he can be. But I still love, because what they have in Zach Wilson is potentially a great scenario. So I think in a perfect world, here's how things play out. First of all, Bo Nix is awesome, and so he's just your starter for forever.
Yep.
After the season, Jarrett Stidham signs a contract somewhere else, and if it's the same contract he signed with the Broncos, that should be like a 5th-round pick, maybe a 6th-round pick. But he signs it with another team, so you get that compensatory pick.
Yeah.
If he winds up getting more of like a Jacoby Brissett type deal, then all of a sudden the pick gets better. And then next year, you get to keep Zach Wilson around and kind of do the same thing. And it's the Sam Darnold path, pass him along. And again, like you should be able to get a pick out of that. So in theory, you keep him in the building, but you just can't justify that roster spot at this point.
Well, and that's fair. And also, are you devastated if Zach Wilson does sign somewhere else and you don't get him to your practice squad? No, because Bo Nix is your future and Jarrett Stidham is the better backup for this season. Definitely.
With Samaje being in that first 3 out, to me, there's a competition between Samaje, Nate Adkins, and Michael Burton. Because those are all guys who have kind of similar skill sets. You know, Nate Adkins can play some fullback. Michael Burton can be that shotgun protector. Samaje, more dynamic than those guys, but you look at who's already on the roster, and so you kind of have that. Samaje, to me, is in a similar place where he started camp, though, because I don't think anything that's happened or has happened to knock him backwards. Like, I just think that, again, we saw it yesterday, the first 2-minute drill camp. What happens? Final play, he gets him into field goal range. Like, you just don't have that from anybody else right now. So I think that those 3 are potentially only going to have 2 spots or maybe 1 spot.
Do you think Michael Burton makes it as of right now?
I have all 3 on right now.
Okay.
But I think there's a lot of guys who I think, like, for example, Lavelle Bailey, who we'll get to. I think they really want him. I think he gets to the practice squad.
Okay.
If he has a big preseason, then all of a sudden he doesn't.
Right.
And you have to imagine that some of these guys in those, like, first 3 out, next 3 out, somebody's going to have a big preseason, force your hand. Darrell Chami, we talk about him every day. That's a pretty special looking edge rusher at this point. You want to see it translate to the games, but somebody who gets a sack every practice is very productive in the run game.
Jeff Thomas Incoom making the roster?
Yeah, and I think that he's even a step ahead.
How many pass rushers do you have making this team?
Right now I'm at 6.
Woo,
yeah,
stacked.
but we've seen it. Like there were.
No, it's fair.
Remember when Aaron Patrick made the team as the 6th?
Yep.
Chris Allen. I don't know.
I think
if he
IR.
did. That's right. He was IR. That's how he made it. Yeah, you've seen 6 before, and right now I think that's where your roster spots are going because this is where you have surprisingly some depth.
Yeah.
Not really what we expected.
Yeah.
Who was the other one, Kale?
It was
Devon Bailey.
Yes.
Yep. I think
I'm so happy you put him on here, Henry.
He's right on that borderline.
To make the team.
The thing is, I was looking through, since I was doing this, I looked through all of the waiver claims from last year's cutdown day. Like 80% of them are DBs or linemen, offensive linemen, just because if you're the one team that has like a 10th good lineman,
right,
as somebody's going to want him.
Right.
Same thing with DBs, and we'll get to Tremon Smith, but receivers never get claimed because everybody has so many that they like. Nobody wants to have to teach them a new system. Nobody wants them to have to build chemistry with a new quarterback. You throw in the fact that Devon is already 26, going to be 27 by the end of the season. Like there's just...
You're making the case for him to be out, not in, but you have him in.
That's why he's on the bubble. That's why he's the last one in.
Well, I'm happy that you have him in.
Yeah, but out, you still have I think Lil Jordan Humphreys in that first group out.
Yep.
Just because you're banking on being able to get him through to the practice squad like you did last year.
Yep.
And I think you probably can. I think that, is he actually younger than Devon is? I can double check that.
Potentially. You know who the oldest player on the roster is?
Lil Jordan's younger than Devon Bailey.
That's wild.
Yeah.
You know who the oldest person on the roster is? I'm going to throw this question out.
Oh, okay.
Kale, remind me to circle back for the answer. No one cheat. Don't cheat. In the Twitter chat, guess who the youngest or the oldest player on the Broncos roster is right now. Henry, you take a guess. Don't guess now. We'll save it
I'll save it.
and end the show with that. All right. Take us through this again.
So Lil Jordan's in that first group out. Lavelle Bailey I talked about. He's having an insane camp. Like he's everything you could have hoped at this point. The cover ability, the blitz ability. You're seeing him get to the quarterback. You're seeing him blow up run plays in the backfield. I think yesterday he had back-to-back plays, one with a TFL, one with a sack. Like that guy's a monster. I'm gonna credit Todd for doing all that.
Yeah, of course. That was absolutely all Todd Davis.
But it's gonna be really tough to keep him off the roster. The question though, he's 220, 225 pounds. Can he actually make the tackles? And that's something you can't prove during training camp, and that's why he's off right now. If he doesn't miss a tackle in the preseason, he's on the team. Tremon Smith, again, I think because of the contract, he clears waivers. Because you'd be locking in a little over $2 million, the new team would. It's risky because again, he's one of the 3 or 4 best special teams players in the NFL. But because you gave him that contract, I think that you could give him to the practice squad. As of now, I'm trying it just because you have so many cornerbacks. Like I've got them keeping like 6 or 7, and sneaky, I would consider potentially a Damari Mathis trade. I think that when you do all this math, you kind of want Tremon Smith around, but you can't cut Chris Abrams-Drain.
So for a 7th round pick?
Probably something around there. But at least you're getting something, because when you look at him, you look at Chris Abrams-Drain, you look at Riley Moss, they're all kind of the same guy. Like they're mid-round picks who you hope turn into a cornerback 2 for you. You already have your slot guy, and Damari's the oldest. So if you're trying to move on from one, if the back half of this roster makes it really tough to cut him, I think trading Damari could be one of the the spots you could find a roster spot.
Interesting.
Who's up next?
And now
Kale?
the second 3 out.
Next 3 out. Devin Key, another one, incredible camp so far. He's really taken advantage of, Caden Stearns missed some. Obviously, Delarian Turner-Yell hasn't practiced at all. Brandon Jones has missed some practices. Devin Key is stepping up, and he had a play today. I knew that I was doing this, and so I was hyped when almost immediately he had a pass breakup. Damn, I'm not going to be able to find who it was, but it's every day he's doing something out there at safety.
Yeah.
On the practice squad last year, I think that his special teams ability in particular is going to make it easy. Again, right now you probably think you can give him to the practice squad. Reese Taylor, I mentioned it earlier, not quite having the Jaquan McMillan type camp from a year ago in the nickel. Not too far off though. He has a couple sacks. He has plenty of TFLs against swing passes, against runs. He has a couple good pass breakups as well. We talked about how he almost picked off Bo Nix for the first interception to camp. That great leaping play from an underneath the zone. Gets his hands out, just can't quite bring it in. Again, though, you can give him to the practice squad until he does something in the preseason. And then Elijah Garcia gets the final next three out. And that is... He's dominant. I mean, we brought him up today with the free rush up the middle, forced to throw away during the 2-minute drill, less than 2-minute drill. Again, just prototypical athlete, needed some time. I think it's 2 years now. Rams practice squad to Broncos practice squad halfway through. No, he was actually on the Rams active roster, I think. But then last year, all the way through on the Broncos practice squad. Just very versatile on the inside, but you got so many guys there that it's going to be tough.
Two more guys that I just throw on the radar, probably for the one of the last ones out, or first ones out. David Sills and Michael Bandy. Those guys are maybe the most productive receivers in training camp so far.
Yep.
It's going to be so difficult for them to make the roster, but definitely practice squad guy. But like guys that deserve recognition. Henry, I loved your back of the roster breakdown. Just incredible. And speaking of incredible, our super chats we've got. Let's hit them because we got a lot of them. Let's talk to the people and get to the super chats. First one coming in from our friend Shiloh, who says, stoked to see Bo comfortable to be a playmaker. I love it. I mean, not only more comfortable in the pocket, but he is looking further down the field this week, which I love to see.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he's great when you move the pocket. Like you get him out on the run, sprint out, play action, any of that sort of thing. But he's also just so smooth in the pocket. When rushers come, he'll step up or step back. We've only seen the one real mistake in that regard when he stepped right into, I think it was Darrell and Chami for a sack like a week ago. Just misread the block. But other than that, like the pocket awareness has just been perfect and so effortless from him.
Okay, help me out here. Mahai Singh?
Yes.
Mahai Singh says, with Levi Wallace out, should Denver sign Stephon Gilmore?
I mean, he'd be a good voice to have. He obviously knows a lot about the game. There is a chance that he's still better than anything you have. At the same time, you kind of need to figure out what you have in these young guys because you have so many. Like, are you really going to go into next offseason? Yeah, like Levi Wallace's contract will be done. Stephon Gilmore's contract will be done. And you still don't know what's up with Damari, Chris Abrams-Drain, and Riley Moss. Like, you just, at some point, got to let them play. And when you're picked to win 5.5 games.
Yeah.
And
especially if this is the youth movement. Let the youth movement either take this team far or fail, or that cornerback spot fail, or you find that person to know just exactly, if you have a top 5 pick, are you using it on Travis Hunter? Or are you using it on an offensive lineman? Like, do you need that for that cornerback spot or not? I like the suggestion, but I'm going, I wouldn't do that here.
It would be fun, though. If they do it, I'm going to be hyped.
I'm going
to be hyped if they do it.
Nash says, in y'all's opinion, who do you think will be the starting quarterback week 1? If it's Bo, do you think he will come out and beat the Steelers in week 2? So we both think it will be Bo week 1, which obviously means he'll be the quarterback in week 2. Is he beating the Steelers, Henry?
I mean, it's an exciting time of year. Anything is possible, you know, but also the Steelers were a playoff team last year with Kenny Pickett and Mason Rudolph, and I know they don't have great quarterbacks this year, but I don't think that they should be worse this season, and they were able to, they found a way into the playoffs. Like the Broncos, call it a pick 'em because they're at home, you know?
Oh, I like it. The odds makers will be on the Steelers side, I would imagine.
Exactly.
I'll go Broncos here, and
I'll
you know
go Broncos too.
There we
go.
Just
to make people happy. Yep.
Sean Payton would rather have Bo Nix go up against T.J. Watt than Russell Wilson going up against T.J. Watt because he probably thinks T.J. Watt will get 17.5 sacks against Russell Wilson for holding on to the ball. He thinks Bo Nix will get sacked 0 times, I bet, going up against T.J. Watt because of how he gets that ball out quickly. Yep. Next one coming in from Triple G, who says, hey, guys, I wanted to check on the overall speed of the team, knowing that was our biggest flaw last year. Henry, what do you think of the speed? These fast boys out here?
I mean, you start by thinking about the offense. And Audric Estime and Javonte Williams, your best receivers are big guys. You like Marvin Mims?
Yeah.
So there's one. Dulcich. But, So I wouldn't say it's a fast team offensively.
No, and Sean Payton embraces that. He's the one that keeps pointing to the receivers as being big. He says our advantage in the receiver is the size. It's not the speed. And on defense, maybe a little bit faster. But really, what the defense needs to focus on is stopping the run. And so you actually probably slow down on defense by stopping the run. So
I think you got faster at linebacker. I think that
that's true.
You didn't get slower at corner. And depending on who wins, you might have gotten a lot faster.
Yep.
Safety.
Push. No, maybe a little faster if you count Kareem Jackson at the beginning of the season.
So
maybe
PJ
a little bit faster.
Maybe.
Yeah, PJ's faster. Maybe a little faster on defense. On offense, that's not what they're focused on. So Ivan Cruz rounds us out and says, good stuff on Broncos YouTube page yesterday, Zach. Thank you so much, Ivan. Really appreciate that. And really appreciate everyone tuning in with us today. And we got to get to our trivia question.
That's right.
We had a lot of people chime in on the Toyota chat, and I did not see a single right answer. Let me reset. Who is the oldest player on the Broncos roster? And remember, this should be a pretty young roster because Sean Payton keeps calling it a hung and youngry roster with tons of energy. No, young and hungry.
There we go. Not
definitely
hung and
not.
Youngry.
Who was called
Hung Young Johnson?
Yes, Hung Young
He's a
Johnson.
hung young. Oh no, hung young individual.
Yes, we're not asking we're asking who's the oldest player on this young roster. And again, I didn't see anyone get the right answer in the Toyota chat. Henry?
Let me just make sure.
No cheating.
Go, is it? It can't be Bowles. That'd be too obvious. So I'm going Phil Dorsett.
That's a good guess. Garrett Bowles, number 2.
Okay.
If I was on this roster, Henry, I would be the second oldest player on this roster, which is absolutely wild. The oldest player on this roster is Michael Burton. 32 years old. Garrett Bowles is also 32. He was born in May. Michael Burton was born
31.
February 1st. So there you go. A little trivia question that you can bring to your parties this evening. Broncos are off tomorrow. It's the only day off that the Broncos have in 12 days. So we're going to take the day off. We'll be back with you on Monday where the Broncos practice Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. They have a walkthrough on Friday. Then Henry, preseason starts 1 week from tomorrow. Let's rock and roll. We'll be back on Monday to tell you everything you need to know about the quarterback situation and the first day of the 3rd week of training camp. Thank you all so much for rocking and rolling with us over this weekend. We'll see you Monday.
We all silly like the mayor.